Thank you very much, Sam. Yeah, we'll get the names right for you. I'm Tridd. This is Dezachu, often known as Fiona and Shrek, but we'll keep it simple for this time around.
You're the Shrek, right?
Yeah, obviously. That's how it's going to work.
This is fine.
Yeah, but Des, we're here. We're down to business. We're going to kick off game 1 of this season of European Contenders, and it's Team Gigantti going up against Orgless and Hungary.
It's a big, big match as well. There's been a lot of hype there about Davin, and of course, we cannot ignore the rest of the team. Legday summed it up perfectly. A team is the sum of its parts. There are 6 players to a team. It's going to be so hard because I think in this first week for a lot of the teams, it's a chance to prove themselves. Everyone we've spoken to has essentially said, we're going to take a couple more weeks to get to where we want to be. It's going to take time to warm up and get into Contenders. And what better way to warm up than for the first match of the day on the Pal?
To be an incredibly cold map. Brilliant. You've got to stay warm
nice
on
and
these snowy maps. But yes, Nepal's going to kick things off. And we've got Team Gigantti, Orgless, like we've already said. Now let's have a look and see what these guys are trying to play around with. I'm going to disregard Team Gigantti for now. I've seen a Torbjorn locked in. I've seen enough of those in my day to know that's not going to really be happening. But let's have a look. We've got Scalar, EPZZ, Tonic, Shax, Facility, and Finzi on some of the heroes we expect them to be played on.
Absolutely. And I think for Gigantti especially, we saw them play literally a month ago at the Assembly Winter Finals. We saw them play basically this exact composition. Cloudy did swap out to the Winston at one stage purely because they were struggling to get into the backline. But one thing I've consistently noticed with this team, watching some of their previous VODs, is Cloudy is a very, very good frontline for them. And the supports, they are more than capable of looking after themselves. There through comes that Genji switch for Nil. He was huge on this for them a month ago, so I'm expecting to see more of the same today.
Yeah, you got to remember Gigantti, we were pouting LH Cloudy on this Reinhardt to be one of the star players of Gigantti after Davin. But we're going to jump into game 1 straight away. They're going to rush straight to the point as you'd expect and get this show on the road. And we're on board with Davin straight away, pepping away with some Tracer.
Orgless were the first one to the point there as well, but Gigantti very, very quickly have taken at this point itself. No contest coming through from Orgless right now. Trying to find the way in from the side originally, but got themselves pushed way back. Facility on the Sombra is a really interesting one to touch on that we didn't really catch there. So far hasn't really done much, and Shax, well, so far being out-pressured by Davin.
Yeah, and here we go. Davin's going to recall back onto the point. Facility going down, but it's RCK who's been racking up the damage on the D.Va. Love to see a little bit of him in a minute, but they've all been wiping the rest of Orgless. They've given up at this point. D-Mech the D.Va, that's good enough for them, but it's Team Gigantti who get that first cap.
Kind of expected coming into this one, Gigantti being last season's winners. Orgless, of course, we can't disregard them. They came first in trials, so they've shown that they can compete at that level. But Gigantti so far just having that extra edge of aggression that Orgless at the minute don't seem fully able to contend with. However, ultimates are starting to come online. We'll look out for that pulse bomb from Shax.
Yeah, he's got it available. What he does with it could be defining in this next fight, but it's Tonic leading the charge on the Winston for now. He's going to have to go around the side, find an alternative angle, and it's Cloudy. He's going to hammer him back out the door.
Didn't kill anyone.
No, bit of a waste of a pulse bomb there for the side of Shax. Now Tonic's having to dive out. D.Va bomb going up in the air. Coalescence has been popped to keep everyone alive, but you can burst through that if you've got the bomb. Here comes Finzi. He manages to D-Mech RCK. Earth Shatter coming out from Cloudy to keep him all off the point and back in control. And now Shax trying to dance around the fight, but he's run straight into Ripper. He can't dodge that beam once it's held on. And it's Team Gigantti holding strong on the point so far.
This is exactly why all this hype is built around this backline, because Ripper there had Shax's number to a T. Every single time he was dashing around, whenever he recalled, he knew exactly where he was going to be and dealt with him very, very quickly. And let's not forget, this is one of the strongest DPS in Contenders that we're speaking about here in the form of Shax. He's basically just been completely manhandled by the side of Gigantti, specifically their supports.
And now they're getting contention. They force Gigantti back off. The ultimates are available for them if they choose to go. But the kill feeds all go in favor in Orgless as Finzi and Shax, they start to pick it up. We're on board with Scalar, that instant substitution for Cruz coming onto the board at the moment. And he leads the team with those auras and gets them through that gate to get control of the point and stop Gigantti at around about 80%, hopefully, but it's still going.
Yeah, Gigantti look like the ones who are going to be falling short here. Orgless potentially winning their first fight, but this point is still being contested. Davin doing work. They end on 86%, so a very, very good first hold coming through for Gigantti. And look at the ult lines on both sides. 4 apiece on either side. I'm looking specifically at Nil here with that Genji. He did big things at Assembly Winter. If he can pull off a good blade here, that can be the end of this map.
But EPCZ, he was sitting on that Transcendence the entire fight. He doesn't have to use it in the previous engagement. He's got it this time. So the second Nil pops that Dragon Blade, it's coming out to keep the team alive. Now Finzi, he's off to the side. He's going to be blocking what he can. He's got a nice little backline angle on the rest of the team. Forces them off the point. D.Va bomb is available. The Coalescence is going to start whittling them down. Going for the health pack instead. I heard that Dragon Blade being popped. And now we were looking for something else to happen as Nil is going to get caught out by that explosion. So he goes down, keeping that Dragon Blade still in his pocket. And the fight continues on the point as Shax and Davin. They're going to be fighting against D.Va. It's Tracer and Lucio going head-to-head on the point at the moment. And now Finzi going back for that pack yet again. That's all about Facility Sombra.
There has been one recurrent theme so far, and it is Shaxx constantly trying to go into the back line and never quite managing to pull it off. In that case, he was chasing down the Lucio, and it must have been a case where Massar said to Davin, Davin, I'm being chased down, come and deal with him. He got there and cleaned Davin off the board, and that's, sorry, Shaxx, that keeps on happening.
Yeah, EMP coming out from Facility, going to shut down the fight for now. Will it be enough to keep it going as Shaxx and Finzi, they're getting kills. Davin's return one, but they've all gone down. It's all looking Orgless at the moment as they've cleared them out yet again using the lights being turned off.
It's again that whole point around a team being 6 members. Gigantti's still really struggling to go for that full push. They might be able to deal with Shaxx, but there's a lot of other members on this team who so far are giving them quite a lot of trouble. But keep note on how many ultimates they've got. They've almost got a full 6 stack. That is almost unheard of. It's very rare to see teams save all 6, but let's see what they can do with them.
Well, going for a nice little set piece. Sound barrier to kick things off, using it very prematurely. The instant answer coming out from Nil with that Dragon Blade, and they've still got 4 left to go. Not using it yet, but it was enough. They've taken out the key members. Tonic's gone down. Facility, Shaxx, there's no DPS option, and Gigantti, they've wiped out Orgless, and they've only got 10% left to go.
And they only used 2 ults in that fight as well. Literally Nil zoning potential onto the supports, saw that whole backline for Orgless crumble, and they had nothing to hold themselves on the point. Gigantti now in a very good spot to win the first map of Contenders, Tridd.
Well, Finzi, he's going to have to use that ultimate now. Coalescence coming out, as we've always seen as an answer, but it's Davin with the pulse bomb to kick things off with the tonic. Shaxx is going down low, having to use the recall back into the fight, and now Finzi diving straight in, knocked that Earth Shatter, but it still found the backline. He's keeping them from doing anything. Tanks the Finn for the side of LH Cloudy, and now it's still Orgless keeping in control, despite some nice little micro plays.
Great stuff coming out of Gigantti to get us kick-started here, and Cloudy at the end there, he doesn't miss them shatters, he most definitely doesn't. He even dealt with a D.Va who was diving over him the whole time, but that's because both of the supports were sat there on top of him, making sure he remained topped up. So great play, and exactly what we expected to see from Gigantti is that very solid front line, with Davin absolutely tearing up the back line.
Right, any changes coming into the rosters as they come in. Davin flexing onto the Zarya potentially. Both teams opting to go for the Junkrat on this map as well. So we'll see how that shakes things up as we go into our second round of Nepal.
It seems to be with Gigantti, and what we've seen, especially in Assembly Winter, is that their main flex points are on their DPS. Their tank and support line very rarely changes. It's quite interesting because Massar is actually a Zenyatta main. In fact, middle of February, he was the rank 1 Zenyatta in the game at that point. In this case, he's actually flexed himself over to the Lucio, what we know as more of a main support these days, whereas Ripper is the one who's going to be flexing between the Moira and the Zen. However, first fight kicking off here, I expect it to go the same way as last time with Gigantti taking an early advantage.
Yeah, bombs going left and right to try and displace him, but it's Nil who will find EPZZ, and now they're going to go very aggressive onto these final points, and they push back the side of Orgless. It's very much Team Gigantti in control of this high ground, and that bodes well as they transition over to the points.
It's the Reinhardt war. Look at the health on Tonic right now. He's slowly getting healed up, but that was exactly what we see in most of these Reinhardt duels. The first shield that breaks will lose the fight, and Cloudy is consistently being the one who's still left standing at the very end. Orgless at the minute have a front line that is crumbling under the pressure, even with this triple tank setup.
Now they're dropping down the point to try and contest. It has been captured by Gigantti, so it's all about the defense for them. Cloudy getting those reinforcements from Davin with the energy shield to keep him alive. Here comes a Riptire. Where's it going? Over the top, dodging around. Danton, he backed out, chickened out, and Shaxx, he's having to play defensive as well to back away from Cloudy. They're still looking to get onto that point. No one's got it yet. A Riptire of their own. Pull the cord, all aboard. Here we go onto that point. Will he find anyone? And it's Davin who gets taken out by the Riptire.
That DPS duel we've been speaking about all the time, this time round goes in the way of Shaxx. I'm quite surprised that they're throwing Facility onto the Zarya here and not gone for Shaxx, because he's known to be a bit of a flexible DPS player. However, in the end, it's going to work out for them because Orgless, this time at 39%, not the 86% of the first round, will cap the point.
Progress, focus on improve.
Absolutely.
Orgless seem to be locking this down, closing that gap. Hopefully they might even get the first cap if we push this out to round 3, but it's still plenty more to go. There's only 39% so far.
3 tank ults available for Gigantti very shortly. Davin about to get his as well. We spoke about that Earth Shatter. Can he make it work in round 2 as well? It worked so well for them in round 1. Now they've got to do it all over again.
But it's about to be answered by Orgless as well. They're starting to rack him up as well. There's Graviton Surge coming out from Davin, locks him down on the point as Nil's been forced out by the fight with Shaxx. But it's RCK using that D.Va bomb to D-Mech and kill on that point. No one is allowed to stay alive in there at the moment. Still holding on. Tonic went down with the Earth Shatter. Facility's gone down. So is Finzi. So many ults from Orgless not available. And it's Team Gigantti who take back control. And 42% in counting.
Nil's Junkrat has been much more impressive than his Genji was on the first map. More of a zoning Genji last time round, whereas here, well, what can you say? You stand outside the point, you rain some bombs down, people die. It's basically the dream situation to be a Junkrat in. Again, their ultimate economy is looking great. They keep on balancing these ults out ridiculously well. They aren't over-investing, which to me is a big sign of a team that has that control, has that almost coordination, and knows when to use what.
Here comes the Riptide straight into the Graviton Surge. They've set the bomb right in there as well. Nil using that to zone out the Diva while she's out of mech, but it's all Orgless and Hungry with that deadly combination they just laid down onto the point.
Team kill as well. First one coming through for Contenders, always a nice thing to see. So really for Gigantti there, they actually chose to hold on to most of their ults. Davin popped his out, and I think Nil had his in there in mix as well. RCK even throw his into the mix. They've now got 3 ults back on side. It is 3 on the other side though, and to be fair, it's pretty much a mirror match, bar the fact that Shax has got his over Massar's Lucio.
Now they're looking to force main. They weren't opting to go for the same route that Orgless did, where they take the high ground and wrap back around. They've gone, you know what, we're going to call your bluff. We're going to go straight through the main and wrap around that way. Coalescence being used at the moment, forcing them back. They've got no answer at the moment, so Orgless, they're just going to push them all the way back and chase them back to their spore room as well. Really
good, because that was on the back of 1 ult as well. And of course, we all know how fast Moira's ult charges, so they won't feel too upset about having to expend that to push them back. But now they're about to overtake Gigantti in terms of the percentage they've got. Let's not forget, this only goes to best of 3. Gigantti can pull this one back and hold to the end. That is the end of the first map. But so far, Orgless holding very, very well.
Well, they tied it up nicely. There was an Earth Shatter outside the front gate. Sound barrier has been used, and here comes another Riptide from Shax. Going to wrap all the way around the back. Who's he going to find? No, he's weaved back on himself. He's trying to even juke us, Des. It's unbelievable. Just holding on to it at the moment. The rest of Gigantti, they've backed off because they know it. Yeah, they're going to look in, dive straight into Diva. I don't think they got, no, it got the D-mech, I believe. She ended up losing it. So now, RCK without that mech. Earth Shatter comes in, finds the 2 tanks.
Nice.
Onto the back line, pushed back by Lucio. Nice defense from himself. And now there we go. Oh, Nil with the Riptire. Gets it after the recap as well. So now it's in control of Gigantti. 99% on Orgless. They cannot miss a beat.
Absolutely not. Gigantti playing this fight out incredibly well, and they all started with that Earth Shatter onto the front line. They didn't get any kills. However, here comes the Graviton Surge onto the middle of everyone.
Yeah, and there's nothing to be answered by the side of Gigantti. You expected more? No, they sat there with a Reinhardt shield. He's got no one to protect his flanks. He's going to go down. Orgless got control, forcing out the overtime from Gigantti, but they're just getting wiped. They're drip-feeding the ult charge, drip-feeding the kill. Will the Riptire come in time? No, it won't. And there's the Diva mech. A big bang to finish off the round.
That is one of those moments where if you were playing ranked, you'd scream, I was on the point! That felt like one of those moments for RCK, but not quite, my friend. We go to 1-on-1, so it looks like the division between these two teams looked a lot larger in map 1 than it did in the second one. Orgless definitely showing, and as you said, focus on improve over time, just getting themselves into it. Now they've warmed up, it's looking like a much closer affair. It's
very impressive for a team that has suffered a roster change so soon. Like Harry said on the desk, it's 5 members still remaining the same. But when you switch out a member with such little prep time, shall we say, in comparison to what you'd like, you expect there to be a spanner in the works. But Orgless aren't letting it show when it comes to fighting down one of the juggernauts of Group A.
And let's not forget, speaking to Gigantti's coach, Sater, as well, he did say it will be a couple of weeks until we're warmed up and at that stage where we're really happy, but we're very good with the progress we're making. I think every team we see, none of them will be flawless. There is always work to do, especially when the focus on the individual player as well for Overwatch League. You've got to start thinking, how does this all come together?
Well, they're mirroring each other around the map. It's apart from RCK, who decided to get really thirsty and then jump back out of the fight. But they've split themselves across the map at the moment. It has been a contention point. I believe it's going to happen in that back right corner. You can see Finzi stand on the back line on that soldier, peppering away, and Shax using the recall relatively early. Now he's going to have to get onto the point. Looking to find Davin, misses the first spray. He's not got much he can do here. He's running low, hasn't quite got the recall up yet. But his visibility on this Sombra, he likes to pick this up. Second time he's run it in this map.
I think his idea is to kind of have some control on Davin, because he just wants to get that hack down so he can't dash around again. If Davin dies, they lose that spear of the attack in a sense. They lose that sharpness and edge to them. But so far, it's looking pretty balanced. Both sides losing a couple of members in this fight, but the first cap will go over to Orgless.
Yeah, now Shax, we're on board with the alternative tracer, shall we say. Still looking to find Davin. 1v1, can't do it, and now he's being forced away. He cannot keep up with the fight, but look at that dive from Tonic. A little bit too aggressive. He hasn't got the healing he needs, and Cloudy answers with a kill of his own. Finzi still on that back line. Nearly got the tack visor available. That could be huge for Orgless if they time it right, because they're about to lose control at this point if they don't do something.
It could be super risky to use the ult here, but he's going to go for it anyway. Out comes the Transcendence to match it, though.
Straight an answer from the side of Ripper. He's got himself that Transcendence to keep him all alive. And now Finzi is left just sat there, twiddling his thumbs, not much he can do, especially at that range, even with attack visor up.
In that case, they really should have held on to it and wait for the full team group before you go for the retake, because he burned that essentially while he was on his own, and Shax was the only person contesting point. They lost point, even with the ult active, so it didn't really have any impact. It would have been much better here to get the flank down and then go for the ult from behind or something, and that way it would have been a much easier retake, because now they're waiting for more ults to come online before they can go for the big push.
Yeah, well, look at the side of Gigantti. They've nearly got 5 of those ultimates. Sorry, Alex Cloudy, he's about to get his primal range as well. Nice little stall tactic, especially with the Pit of Doom right by the point. That could be huge for Gigantti if they set that up correctly. But now Neil's got attack visor of his own. hanging around by the stairs. Hanging around by the stairs. But there's the EMP coming in vicinity, immediately taken out. Quick reaction by Nil to shut down any further fights. And now he's run through Tonic as well. It's up to Shax to try and keep the damage going, but he's isolated. He's by himself. There's too many members, and he's got a Discord orb on him. Kick to the head from Ripper will send him flying. And it's Gigantti still maintaining control of this point.
It's been a bit of a dance for the longest time, kind of like doing a ballet around a dance floor, and then finally the teams, when they come together, they clash majestically, and Gigantti tend to walk away the winner. You can't say Orgless don't have the potential to win. They've got 4 ultimates on their side here. Once that Lucio ult comes up, I imagine that is their big let's go trigger. We've got 2 support ults here. We can use that Winston ult to try and get some environmental kills as well. But Gigantti will be prepared. They've got 4 ultimates of their own.
It super feels bad, man, for Finzi, because the second he pops that tack visor... Oh, he took out Ripper! That was what I was going to say! The Transcendence was available for Ripper. Without him gone, if he can stay alive against the dive of Cloudy, he could potentially turn this around, get that tack visor down, and actually have some impact on it. But it's Orgless on the point. 5 members there. Still not popping the tack visor just yet, holding on to it. He doesn't need it as Vitality and Shax cut through Gigantti.
Anything can be a tank if you can survive the damage coming at you, because Finzi there held the attention of Cloudy for a good 10 to 15 seconds. They were losing the one member they've got that can get into this backline alongside Davin, I guess. They lost the Winston, who could have got into the backline and supports. So for Orgless, it was a, well, we've got all these ults, let's go. And in they went and won that fight so easily. So really well played by Finzi. Didn't put out any DPS, but at the end of the day, if you're as useless as I am, this is a 5v5 and we are going to win. Absolutely.
But like I said, still got attack visor, Scale's got the sound barrier, Transcendence, both supports ultimates available. Where's the answer? Nil popped it. Immediately shut down by the ball coming out from Tonic. He's dropped instead. Going to force around the side.
Nice.
Finzi takes down his opposing man. On the point as well, Davin with the pulse bomb onto Scaler. Gigantti taking back control. It is only EPZZ alive. And guess what? It's Orgless losing out the point again.
The thing is, every single big play you see coming through from Gigantti is generally down to their supports. Ripper, in that case, the Transcendence, kept Nil alive whilst his ult was active. Otherwise, he would have gone down very early on, so you could see what Orgless were trying to do. But this support coordination is so on point. Here they go for the final fight.
EMP dropped to kick things off, and Shax got that pulse bomb. He's looking for a target. Monkey can't dance away. He's going to Primal Rage as the EMP expires. That kept him alive. He Goomba stomps Facility, and Nil will find Tonic trying to look for more as well. RCK right in front of Finzi. Diva on Diva action, and guess what? RCK's the better one. Point captured by Orgless because Gigantti flipped off the pace, but they are the ones who have the bodies on the floor. Recapture. I don't think overtime's going to pan out for them. Gigantti are going to take map 1. Nepal going over to them.
Great play from both teams, we have to say. Orgless, a little bit weak on the first and third point, but that second one looked fantastic for them. That's the kind of stuff I want to see from a top trials team, showing why you have that first place position. You will come against teams like Gigantti, who were the top victors last year, but still, that's the kind of performance I want to see from teams more, where they're willing to say, we're not afraid of these big teams, we're going to show we can stand up to them. And I think if they keep on pulling things together, map 2 could be theirs.
Absolutely, and I think that they actually fare better on maps where they can actually play that Moira. If we're talking about Gigantti and Orgless as well, these teams where Moira is coming into it. I think it was Ripper who had amazing tracking on Moira when he used the ultimates. Same for the other side on Orgless as well. So I feel like maybe Orgless suffers a little bit more when Moira is not an option for them on these maps.
Somewhat so, I think, as well. And you look at the other side as well. We were speaking about Ripper very briefly towards the end there with that great Transcendence that kept Nil alive with his ultimate. That won that fight overall for them, because even though the Transcendence was on the point for the other side, the members of Orgless were a bit scattered. We had some just lurking off to the side at random places, and Nil was like, well, if you've got no supports there, I'll take you, sure. And that was the end of that. They lost 2 or 3 members that way. So really good coordination by Gigantti. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from last year's champions. Yeah,
I mean, well, let's look at map 1. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of the map. We've got a little bit of time to kill here while the teams get ready for the next one. So Gigantti, they came off the board straight away. We already know what the next map is going to be, Hollywood, so I thought we had time to kill. It's a cast of curse. You say it's going to happen, it never happens, but at least we know what the next map is. So that was chosen by Orgless and Hungary. The loser of the initial map will then choose out of the map pool, and they've gone for Hollywood.
Absolutely. So this will be an interesting one, I think, purely because we've seen Control. Gigantti generally winning out these fights. We have seen so many teams struggle when it comes to an escort or hybrid-based map. So here, I think it's a chance for Orgless to show, we know we might lose a fight or 2, but we can definitely push this payload well. When things click for them, they look fantastic. Just a few little loose edges, they can pull together, and I think they'll have a much better performance on Hollywood.
Absolutely, and it's a shame. I really wanted to see Massar's really strong Zenyatta, but in the context of the team, he needs to be that main support. He needs to go on to the Lucio.
Although, how many heads did Ripper kick off in that game? There were quite a number of heads.
Quite a few. He's very good Zenyatta as well. Thankfully, they can still have that one in their pocket. But Massa, he obviously will be playing that Lucio as well. What do you think we're going to actually see Gigantti come out with in this game? Do you reckon they're going to subscribe to the path of dive, or are we going to run around with those triple tanks?
Cloudy. hands down, Cloudy's going to be on Reinhardt pushing that point because this is what they've done so much during Assembly Winter. Again, sorry to keep on harking back to it, but it's true. It just looks so good for them with that tank lineup. Again, with Cloudy at the front, letting RCK go and run havoc on the verticality with the D.Va. Don't forget, Hollywood, a very vertical map. The case where they've got this great front line with him and the 2 supports sat behind him, it works out wonderfully for them. However, looks like that's not going to be the choice they go for. But I was going to say, the Cloudy piece earlier on, we saw again at Assembly Winter, he played Winston quite a bit, especially on these control points where it's about trying to get into the back line. We already spoke about Davin and how this comp was built around him, around trying to build this dive-based comp. It's their biggest strength. Admittedly, tank comps look very, very good for them thanks to Cloudy. And here, they're opting to go for the Winston. I'm somewhat surprised by it. I thought they'd go for the Ryan for the point hold, but hey, they've got a plan. I'm happy to see them execute it. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, point out there that RCK playing Sombra. We know there's a few players on the team. Teams aren't really sure what they're doing with the Sombra yet. Many of their players can play it if they need to, depending on what composition. But RCK, he's becoming a little bit of a diva one-trick, and he doesn't need to change at the moment.
No.
So as long as he keeps putting out the performances, why bother switching it up? But Cloudy, he's going on to the Winston. Now, this is one of the question marks we had about him, right? Is he going to be that guy who can only play Reinhardt because he knows he's so good? Or can he contend with the Winston, with the Orisa? And let's see what we can do as he jumps onto the Winston on a more standardized map than Control.
You can test he's one of the best Reinhardts in all of Contenders, but you wouldn't also say that he isn't a bad Winston player. He's a good Winston player, maybe not at the level of his Reinhardt, which is why you'll see him on it more often than not. But the Winston does go so well with their dive-based comp here. Now let's see what this Pharah can do. We do see Pharah quite a few times on this map. Now, whether or not it gets picked off, let's not forget, Davin is going to have his number the whole time, and they've got Nil in preparation for this.
Yeah, and they've got Mercy right next to him for the damage boost available. You can see it there, just making him blue. And Facility having no luck getting in here. Did find that shot onto the back of LA's Cloudy, and he's going to try and dismantle it, but of course, Mercy's there for the resurrection, going in close, trying to find Nil, using the height advantage he has to hide around these different angles. And now he's going to drop down, fire some more shots. It doesn't matter, the rest of his team has come in at the moment, and Davin, he's the only one on the point, if I remember correctly, and now Finzy's going to lose his mech. D-mech'd out of it, Davin with the cleanup duty. Nil's also there to shoot him out. Where's Facility? He's going to go up into the sky yet again. It's all the fights are happening around this house to make sure this high ground remains in control of Orgless. They've been making great progress on the point so far. They just can't seal the deal.
I think the idea for Orgless here is that they're going to try and get in the backline as best they can, but as of yet, being completely forced out. The idea was to get down that Discord orb onto a key member, have the Power Rockets come flying in, have Shats get onto the back of them as well, and throw the Monkey in the mix as well. D.Va can even follow as well. Everything they've got is about isolating a certain member of Gigantti and bringing them down, but they've got the Mercy on side to deal with that. That is the big denier right now for Orgless, and it's why you're seeing both teams, sorry, for Gigantti even, that's why you're seeing Mercy getting picked up on both sides.
Well, Facility's taken to the skies yet again with Mercy.
Sticky.
Pulse bomb from Shax finds Massa. No more resurrections and no more healing. This is Orgless' fight to win, and Shax is still on that backline uncontested. Pulse bomb sent into the fray. It's Orgless coming up high. They take down RCK. No more mech for him. Just got to find Cloudy, and that can be the job done, and then move on to the escort section of this map. But here comes Davin from the side, being the nuisance he is, immediately taken out. Orgless, they're going to cap. They're going to move on to the escort section.
I like no Org, no problem. Davin is not a problem for us at all. We'll quite happily stroll through this one. But the big play at the start of that, we spoke about the Mercy and how effective she was in holding down the point. In that case, bringing down Matar was all they needed to do to turn that point on its head. And great for them. It took a bit of time to get that coordination down. Once they had the plan in place, it worked out wonderfully for them.
If you've got Mercies on your team, there's a perfect window for you to bring out the Widowmakers. Nil and Shax both taking pop shots at each other, getting that damage boost on there as well.
Oh,
takes out Shax, so guess what? He strikes first blood in that regard. Barrage comes out, RCK uses the rockets, and I'm sure the defense matrix to block that out. So Team Gigantti putting on more of a fight now, despite the ultimates coming through from Orgless.
RCK is just on Facility duty the whole time he's on Pharah, but now they're going to switch it out and go for the Genji. I imagine with the Widowmaker, they must have got to second point, and both players were like, can I go Widow now? And it was like, yeah, sure. And they were like, yay, it's sniper duel time. In this case, Nil's winning it out 1-0 so far. I love keeping count on these kind of things as well, because it's always quite interesting to see, one, how many reses get dedicated to them, because it can really harm your kind of a tank push in a sense if you don't have the res. And equally, when only one Widowmaker's left on the map, think of all the pickups you can get into that backline. We've got 2 Zenyatta's coming through in this game, and they're very easy to pick off for the Widowmaker.
Well, they dived onto her straight away. I think they're trying to get rid of her very quickly, but Nil, he's still standing strong, had the team come in for reinforcement. Payload hasn't really moved that much so far. They've kind of dropped off it, left it in the middle of the desert map as they're trying to deal with this high ground pressure that's being put out by Nil. So they really wanted to dislodge him because they are worried about their pick potential. 2-0, Nil. Didn't need to say the added one,
yes,
but
you did.
Kind of needed to. Yeah, so 2-0 for Nil at the moment. And now he's looking for Zenyatta. He's got the wall hacks. He's got damage boosted as well. A shot to the chest should finish him off. as the rest of Orgless are trying to regroup from somewhere they know Neil can't get to them.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a slow start so far for Orgless, not looking probably as consistent as we thought. After that first push, I thought, well, surely here, given they've just shown us what they can do with this dive into the backline, it worked out so well for them first time, just keep on doing that. But so far, they're really struggling to actually force Gigantti out of the way. It's this big immovable object called Gigantti sat on the point right now, and they can't even get them off the high ground.
2 support elements available for Orgless. Here comes the Valkyrie out. Self-destruct sequence finds no one, but Ripper's by himself. It's actually Transcendence has been forced out to get into the fight. Will it be enough to keep his team alive, or was it preemptive? Gigantti still going strong. Finzi onto the back line. No support coming out. They need that Diva to get in front of him. RCK needs the body block. It's fine. They demeched him. The threat's gone. Winston going to Tesla cannon her to hell.
Absolutely. Gigantti once again winning a fight out there. They forced them all the way back, and I've got to say, yet to see the Dragon Blade come out of Facility. Maybe this is the big time for him to shine here, to get in the back, do the damage, get down the key members. Because once Ripper and Massa are out the way, that's when things seem to go well for them. Let's not forget, that's exactly how they won the first cap in the first place, was bringing down Massa on that Mercy.
Now here come the wall hacks of their own. Neil's got it back up again. They know exactly the movements of Orgless, so how do they move around this high ground? Really play to the advantage. Facility, he's got a Dragon Blade available. What's on the side of Gigantti to keep him alive? It's going to have to be either the Primal Rage or that Valkyrie. Jumps into the room, going straight for Neil. Dashes back in, one shot, can't find the second. Neil's got away somehow. That's a sad, sad Genju, as he's going to be stuck on that payload now in the front of a Diva. Deflecting all he can. Primal Rage comes in, found Davin somehow in the fray. And now Shax finally answers his own, takes down Neil with a shot. 2-1, and we're keeping track. And Facility will go for RCK. Ripper finding a kill of his own. Shax has now got the freedom to come out and take these shots, but Massa resurrected them in Facility, forcing them all the way into the choke, and Finzi's going to make sure they stay there.
Even off the back of a failed Dragon Blade, picking up literally no one, they still managed to turn the fight around. What was the key thing at the start of that fight? Davin getting dropped by the Genji. Some random shurikens being thrown through, they all connected, and down he went. It does feel and it does show that Davin is the spearhead of this team. When he dies, they do lose that little sharp edge, and they do start losing these fights out in crucial moments. And to be fair to Facility, he managed to get onto an isolated Ripper. It's very rare to see those two supports apart, but in that case, that's exactly what happened. But here goes RCK.
This guy's an absolute machine on Diva. He's running everywhere, taking everyone out. Shax is going to take to the sky, maybe get one more shot. It's actually RCK flies in out of nowhere and gets the boop kill with the rocket boosters. Orgless still holding on. 25 seconds remaining. One more push at best for Orgless. Score looking Gigantti, and that's not a far distance to come back when you're on your offense.
This is not a promising push for Orgless, absolutely. It's looked a bit rough for them here on the second point. First one, it took some time, but they figured it out. They're yet to unwrap the chess puzzle, though, that is this second point.
Yeah, Neil's already found Shax, so that's the pick they need. Going in for a 5v6. Hopefully they can stall Facility close to that Dragon Blade. He's not on the payload, going to have to dash in. Tonic is there, stall it out so far. They've got to get bodies on the floor, but RCK and Cloudy, they've locked off the rest of the backline. So they've isolated the players, and it's Neil finding Facility and Tonic.
So close.
The isolation there from the back, from the tanks of Gigantti was absolutely huge to keep him off. And now, Primal Rage, they've got all the displacement they need. No one left alive. Overtime's going to whittle down. Team Gigantti, solid hold on Hollywood.
Very, very good hold on that second point. It started 4 minutes, and they got a grand total of about 25 meters. They didn't even get to the very, very end. It was close, but definitely not all the way.
Well, it's 25 meters away from the end. They actually went 109, Des. Use the UIs, my friend. Use the UIs. They're your friend.
UIs are very, very friendly.
Well, there's always you and I, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Well, let's see. Anyway, Cloudy going to be switching over to the Ryan this time. That's what I've been waiting to see. So on their attacking round, I'm curious to see if they choose to mix things up a little bit, because both sides so far, we've seen Facility pick up this Sombra a couple of times, mainly with the intent of shutting down Davin. Of course, with the recent changes that came through to Sombra, you deny all movement-based effects as well, so very, very good for denying Massa the opportunity to be highly impactful on the Lucio. But so far, Orgless, a little less impactful on this than I would have liked. They look good on the second map, on the path on the second round. Here on Hollywood, definitely not the strong showing that I would have expected.
Well, it wasn't one of those pop compositions where you just come out on the gate and you just like absolutely ram the team down. You saw how long it took for Orgless to get control of that point A when they're relying on their main damage source of Facility on that Pharah being pocketed by the Mercy to try and get themselves that extra damage and clear out the house for them. It takes a little bit of time. It took longer than I think Orgless wanted it to, and it allowed recovery from Gigantti and really stalled out that first point.
Although all teams kind of play this way, one thing that Gigantti are doing very well, they did it over a month ago as well against Ents and beat them 3-0 this way, was they just let the aggression come. They just kind of soak it like a balloon. They wrap around it and say, right, if you want to come through the middle of us, come through the middle of us. We are ready for you. Eichenwald specifically was a really good remembrance for me for this. Again, also a hybrid map, where they just let the aggressors come to the backline, try and focus the supports, and Cloudy was stood there with a shield like, you know, touch my friends, and then just hammers them all down. That's their style. It seems more than anything else is rather than denying them the opportunity to get to the back, they let them get in there and then say, well, you're surrounded. Good luck getting out of this one, friends. We're going to win this fight. So I'm expecting to see more of that. Tonic and Shax again going for this dive base. Curious to see how it works out. Facility really likes his Sombra.
Yeah, sticking on the Sombra, you see RCK switch over to the D.Va, nil on the Genji. Cloudy's still going to be that solid shield for them, going to help push on. So you did predict that correctly.
This is their go-to comp.
And look at that, they've already weaved themselves round, and they're going to wrap back round the house, using that shield coming out from Cloudy to keep him alive. And now they've got control of this territory, even when they're on offense. And I don't think Orgless knew where to go. They've taken the terrace instead. They swapped it all around. But they're the ones who are making Orgless look like they're on the offense right now. They've just been outmaneuvered on this point entirely.
This is exactly what you say. It's the attackers now functioning as the defenders and vice versa, and they are doing it in style. Look at the DPS racking up 3 kills here. Both supports have gone down. They have cleaned house on this first point. Orgless with nothing to say in response.
Such cerebral Overwatch. That wasn't even down to mechanical skill of these players. They were like, right, we're going to path round here. We're going to go take your position. What do? They struggled to reposition onto the terrace, and in that time, they just took control of everything.
Orgless looked really lost there, to be honest with you. They didn't have an answer to what was going on, and now Cloudy's going to switch off onto the Winston. Very good for the second point again because of that verticality. They've got a lot of mobility on the team now. In fact, 3 of them with the Genji, the D.Va, and the Winston. All 3 of them can jump onto this high ground and deal with anyone who tries to sit up there to try and stay safe.
But notice, none of them have changed the Widow this time. They don't want those sniper duels. Finzi going to get up onto that high ground with Tonic, so they have that perch to leap off into action from when they want to go. Shax right now a little bit low, getting that pocket coming in from EPZZ. Or is it just Eps? I don't even know at this point. I'll have to ask
We'll go with Eps.
We'll go with Eps. But look, he's onto Masa by himself. Ripper's using the Coalescence to keep everyone alive, but also finds Scalar in the action as well. Shax taking down Nil. And now the high ground seems to be lost. Facility's still up there. He's got the EMP. Is he going to dive bomb this as he jumps into the fray? Or it might be a little bit too early. There we go. Scandalous Noches as he drops it all down. And now going to start peppering everyone away. Shax still on the Tracer, and now it's going to be a case of them running over the team.
But Davin has been at the front of this fight the whole time, and they just cannot deal with him. Admittedly, now he is finally forced to retreat. But one thing that I noticed at the very start of that fight when they were pushing forward was Davin was essentially holding 4 members back all by himself as the payload freely moved forward. Admittedly, Orgless didn't want to commit because they were down a member, but in this case, Davin is so happy to step forward and apply that pressure, get that ult charge stacked up, and make a big play when it counts. He's got that ultimate available, so does Nil. They're not quite support ultimates or tank ults, but both can have huge impact if used correctly.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out is Facility and Shax. Facility is setting Shax up for everything here. The EMPs, the hacks. It's so easy as a Tracer to dance around someone when they have no mobility, no shield, no chance of defending themselves. Now Gigantti, they're diving onto the back line. You can see that's one fragile Zenyatta by himself. Lucio's coming in to help at the moment. There's Dragonblade. They're trapped in a room. There's nowhere for Scalar to go. He can only scale the walls as he dies. Pulse Bomb thrown out. Doesn't matter. It's a whiff coming out from Shax. And now Gigantti, they've got control of the point at the moment. Masa will go down to Tonic. It's a one scary monkey with the tanks and Shax backing off, and Gigantti, they haven't got the resources to commit this, but they keep moving closer to victory.
It was a bit of a Nil play coming out there from Nil, because with the Genji, he didn't really catch anyone out. It was a bit questionable. Like, he managed to get, okay, he got Scalar. He could have done that very easily with his base abilities, I felt. After that, tried to go for Davin, but just a bit too far, not Davin, sorry, for Shax. A little bit too far away, did literally nothing.
Well, Scalar was trapped in that room by the Pulse Bomb. There's no way he could go anyway. So
he was dead, guaranteed.
Yeah, pretty much at that point.
Dragonblade not needed.
Nil going to be taken onto the high ground at the moment. Still needs to get that Dragonblade back. Masa now sitting on the sound barrier. This could be what they need, but Orgless, they've got the board 1 if you look at just ultimates alone. And now they got the 5th one coming out. Shax can get his one very quickly. Diving onto the back, I believe I heard a hack come out then. Facility shutting down the push from Gigantti yet again, and it's Shax and Facility. This duo again taking out both the supports to Gigantti. No answer on the side of Gigantti against Orgless.
A bit of a ring around the roses affair. Gigantti always push round behind bank, and then you just see Orgless rotate back around the point, jump around the front, jump on the point, and hold it down. And then Gigantti are kind of, again, reversing that attacker and defender role and coming from behind them. It's a really weird kind of separation to see. However, they are right by the zone. There's only a few meters left to go, and they've got 4 ultimates to play with. Tridd.
Yes, 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Sound barrier pop to kick things off, and here comes RCK to lead the charge. Deal takes the disguise. He's found this Zenyatta by himself. Where's the support coming out for his team? Having to deflect, but he's gone straight onto Scalar instead. Found the double support lineup, and Davin, he clears out Shax as well. Nice bubble to shut the damage down from that self-destruct. It's Tonic by himself. There's no one on the point. Can you say C9? It's only 2 letters. I guess you can.
Can you also say win? Because that's only one more, but Gigantti looking stupidly solid at the minute. I've got to say, that map was more of a whitewash than the first one by a clear mile. And again, you can see why they were last season's victors. Nil with a couple of questionable Dragon Blades. But again, there is no Iron Team. There are 6 members there, and everyone has been stepping up, to be fair.
But I want to point out from Orgless, though, I mentioned it briefly in the game there. Vigility just setting up Shacks to go and play cleanup. And there wasn't really an answer on the side of Gigantti. They just had to pull off their play first and hope the Vigility didn't shut them down with an EMP.
It was really bizarre, that map, because it was the constant back and forth, almost switching roles in terms of attack and defense, but ultimately for Gigantti, it worked out. They had the cleanup, they got the 2 supports. That was the big one from Nil, so I will commend him for that. That final play was what won in that round overall.
Well, we've spoken enough about these games, Des. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have our analysts break down the match so far.